Here are the four main destructive behaviors in marriage. Okay, number one is criticism. Criticism, Proverbs 18, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And by the way, the next verse says, he who finds a good wife, or he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. There's a lot of reasons that we can become critical, but they're all devastating. And there are certain rules that we can use in our marriage. And first of all, it's the 10-to-1 rule. And that is, for every time I say anything negative, I'm going to say 10 things positive. And if I hadn't said 10 things positive, I haven't earned the right to complain. Okay, and I'm not talking about being critical. I'm just saying even complaining. You need to praise a lot more than you criticize, and if you don't, it's going to devastate the marriage. The second thing is this, and this is a huge issue, and that is, I take responsibility to build your self-esteem. I take responsibility to build my wife's self-esteem, and Karen takes responsibility to build mine. And by that I mean this, not only am I not going to be your critic, I'm going to be your biggest fan. It doesn't mean that I won't tell you if something's wrong. But there's a difference between criticizing and complaining. Criticizing means I'm pointing the finger at you, and this is all about you. Complaining just means I'm telling you how I feel. You can tell your spouse how you feel without being critical. I say to Karen, Karen, I don't know what you meant by that, but let me tell you how it made me feel. I'm not attacking her. I'm just saying, I don't know what you meant by that. I'm not saying you're a bad person or you intended to hurt me. But when you said that the other day, this is the way it made me feel. When I complain in that way, because it's about me, it's not about you. When I say it that way, she can hear it, everything's fine, and we go on. When I don't say it that way, when I say it with a more critical, accusatory tone, she immediately becomes on the defensive. And so I take responsibility to build your self-esteem, and if I'm going to complain to you, it means I've already earned the right to do that because I'm a lot more positive than I would ever be negative in our relationship. So that's the destructive behavior. The second is control and dominance. And I've already talked about this when I talked about the law of possession. But control and dominance, that means there's a disproportionate control of the relationship. Marriage is equal. All of your decisions you make together. That's just an ethic in marriage. No one controls the money. No one controls the children. No one controls the home. No one controls the schedule. Every decision we make together. And if you're naturally more of a dominant person, a choleric person, you've got to sit down. And if you're more of a naturally passive person, you have to stand up. But where there's dominance in a relationship, and there's many dominant men as there are women, it's an equal issue. When you have dominance in a relationship, it's always destructive. Now, let me say this, because I do this little poll when I do seminars. How many of you, now, by the way, if you're with your parents, don't answer this question. How many of you were raised in a home where one of your parents was clearly dominant over the other parent? Raise your hand if you would. Watch the hands go up. Look around. Look around. Okay. Look how many hands are up. Put them down. How many of you believe that had a negative influence upon you and your family? Raise your hands if you would. Look at the hands go up. Look at the hands go up. Okay, go ahead and put your hands down. Your children will be in one of my seminars one day, and I'm going to ask them that question. And dominance is destructive. There's a person being disrespected. There's a person being controlled. You can never be intimate with a dominant person. I was dominant in our relationship. I had to sit down. I had to just make a decision. I'm not going to overcome Karen. Just the force of my personality. I can dominate. And just the intimidation. You're going to pay a price. If you cross me, you're going to pay a price. In everything that I do today, Karen is my equal, and I will not act without her, period. I will not. I will not leave her behind, and she will not leave me behind. Everything we do together. Everything we do, we're in agreement on before we do it. And that is where intimacy and goodwill comes from, because we share our relationship and share our marriage. But where there's dominance, there's going to be destructiveness. Number 3, destructive behavior is checking out, and that's just emotional abandonment. In Hebrews 13, God says, I will never leave you or forsake you. And leave means physically leave, but forsake means turn your heart away. You can turn your heart away from a person you're sitting right next to. Because of hurt, because of disappointment, because of busyness or stress or temptation, you can literally emotionally check out of your marriage, and all adultery is preceded by emotional abandonment. All adultery is long before I had the adultery, I turned my heart away from you. And the commitment here is simply, it's destructive. You know that person's checked out. You can tell by the look on their face. You're just checked out. I don't know where you are, but you're not here. You're with somebody else doing something else. And God says, not only will I never physically leave you, I'll never turn my heart away. I will never emotionally, in all of eternity, our God will never emotionally abandon us. But let me tell you, he's had some good reasons to. Did you know that?